has entered the building. You are listening to the Sportcat Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sportcat Daily Gazette. We are live on the YouTubes and the interwebs. You can listen to us live if you're not on the internet and can see my ugly mug, which is probably a good thing for you. You can go over and check out Radio X and Dare Talk Radio out of Australia. But if you want to join the chat, and you really need to come over and join the chat because we've got a great chat. Hello, Denise. Welcome. I see Chris is in there. Welcome, Chris. Glad to see you here. And yeah, everybody's here. They were chatting along without me. Y'all, did you need me? Am I needed for anything today? Well, in case you can't tell, I am at my North Studio, which is located in Knox Vegas, Tennessee. And I will be up here for a couple weeks. And so I'll be hanging out here. Some sad news to report this morning. When I left home, I call it my wife's dog, but it was our dog. Millie wasn't feeling so well, and this morning she passed away. So we had a puppy pass away, cross over the Rainbow Bridge. My wife's taking it pretty hard, so I've been messaging her and checking on her since she was there with her. So kind of rough for her. So, but yeah, other than that, that's the only other news for us here in the States. But let's jump on the screen here and see. If you notice, I do actually have my Universal Coordinated Time in Eastern Time Zone down here in the bottom right. Thank you, Denise. Yeah, we rescued Millie from DeKalb County Animal Shelter, and we realized she was an older dog. She was a pit bull mix, and we didn't realize that she had been tortured so much. I had an animal psychic on once, and she actually told me some of her history, which I was kind of shocked at. I didn't think that was a real thing, but it is. And when we had some lab works and some stuff done when she started to feel ill about a month ago, and they did x-rays to make sure she didn't have any blockages. They found a bullet lodged in her hip. Apparently, at some point in time, the thugs thought that it would be a good idea to shoot her. The bullet wasn't causing her any pain or causing any restriction of movement or anything, but she did have a bullet lodged in her. So people are cruel to animals, and those people need to be, well, they need to have a bullet in their hip. Thank you, Chris. I do appreciate it. Mrs. Sportcat's having a tough day at work today, so yeah, if you get a chance, think about her today. All right, well, it's currently 13:06 in the afternoon here in the East Coast. Good afternoon to Chicago, 12:06, Denver, 11:06. Good morning, LA, 11:06. Anchorage, you're 9:06. Honolulu, 7:06. Good morning. To our fans in Australia, good morning. It's 1:06 a.m. tomorrow. We're time traveling in Perth, and it's 3:06 in the morning tomorrow in Perth. So we're time traveling. Thank you, guys and gals, for tuning in with us, and we appreciate it. Let me catch up in the chat here. Not my bullet-taking hero. I would love to know what the deal was. Wendell's getting hitched. All right, Wendell. Well, congratulations. I'm finally glad you found a Mrs. Bigfoot for you. So, Wendell, tell everybody where to come over and find us there in the shop. We appreciate all of your support. Well, as you guys and gals know, we start off doing a little history, and today is no different. So we're going to talk about 1693. Don Perignon. He invented champagne. Benedict monk Don Pierre Perignon invented champagne at his abbey in the Hautes-Villers in France. According to the legend, he called out, "Come quickly, I am drinking the stars," when he first took a sip of his creation. Despite such mythology, the historical record shows that modern champagne wasn't invented until the mid-19th century, long after his death. Well, what was he drinking then? So that's weird. All right. 1892, excuse me, the axe murders of Andrew and Abby Borden. That's a famous story. Andrew Borden and his wife Abby were hacked to death by axe murderers inside their Fall River, Massachusetts home. Blame quickly fell on their 32-year-old daughter Lizzie, who reportedly hated her stepmother. Lizzie claims she was in the barn when the murders occurred and later found her father dead in the living room. The crime remains unsolved to this day. 1944, well, Anne Frank was captured by the Gestapo. The Nazis find Anne Frank and her family inside the secret rooms of an Amsterdam warehouse where they had been hiding for more than 2 years. A Dutch informer told authorities of the Franks' whereabouts, and the Gestapo captured them, along with the Van Pels family and Fritz Pfeiffer, who were hiding with the Franks. All were sent to concentration camps, though, who betrayed Anne Frank and her family to the Nazi. All were sent to concentration camps, though who betrayed Anne Frank and her family to the Nazis remains uncertain after 8 decades. 1962, Marilyn Monroe died. She died of acute barbiturate poisoning in her Los Angeles home. Her housekeeper noticed a light on underneath the locked door and called her psychiatrist, who broke into the room through a window and found her dead, surrounded by empty pill bottles. They ruled her death a suicide. Over the past 60 years, her death has become the subject of many conspiracy theories, ranging from murder arranged by the Kennedy family to a mere accidental overdose. Weirdly enough, why did they call her psychiatrist? Did they not have in 1962 a fire department or portable doctor, an ambulance, something? I don't know. 1987, Carlina White goes missing from a Harlem hospital. After baby Carlina showed signs of infection, her parents Joy and Carl rushed her to the hospital. Hours later, a woman entered Carlina's room and abducted her. Joy White and Carl Tyson would not see their child again for 23 years. In 2005, Carlina, then going by the name Nadra Nance, realized that her, quote, mother kidnapped her when she was a baby. She was able to get in touch with her parents through an online missing children's database to end the 23-year-long mystery. Interesting. All right, let's see what else we got going on in history today. Did I get out of sorts? I guess I deleted one. Okay, well, we'll just skip to what is today. August 4th today is National Coast Guard Day, and it's National Chocolate Chip Day. All right, well, the good news is I'm here at Mom's, and I just had some of her hot chocolate chips for me, so that was good news. Let's see what else it is today. Assistance Dog Day. Yes, our animal friends can help us in so many ways. It's Commerce Day, Cook Island Constitution Day, Festival Monday, Founders Day, Heritage Day, Alberta, Hooray for Kids Day, International Clouded Leopard Day, Kadooment Day, Kirbachi Youth Day, Métis Slavenska Day, Natal Day, National White Wine Day, New Brunswick Day, New South Wales Bank Holiday, Picnic Day, Single Working Women's Day, Terry Fox Day, and it's the birthday of the Coast Guard, and it's World Alternative Games Day. Interesting. Chris says, I punched a guy in a bar once for calling a woman an acute barbiturate. Was it in Cincinnati, Chris? Asking for a friend. Some other sad news we have to report today. Lonnie Anderson, the beloved actress and star of the hit TV series, one that inspired me, WKRP in Cincinnati, has died. Los Angeles Lonnie Anderson, who played the struggling radio station's empowered receptionist on the hit TV show WKRP in Cincinnati, died just days before her 80th birthday. She died at a hospital following a prolonged illness, said her longtime publicist, Cheryl Kagan. We are heartbroken to announce the passing of our dear wife, mother, and grandmother, her family said in the statement. BKRP aired from 1978 to 1982 and was set on in a fledgling Ohio radio station, trying to reinvent itself with rock music. The cast included Gary Sandy, Tim Reed, Howard Hessman, Frank Bonner, and Jan Smithers, alongside Anderson as the sexy and smart Jennifer Marlowe. As the station's receptionist, the blonde and high-heeled Jennifer used her sex appeal to deflect unwanted business calls for her boss, Mr. Carlson. Her efficiency often kept the station running in the face of others' incompetence. The role earned her 2 Emmy Award nominations and 3 Golden Globe nominations. She starred on the big screen also with Burt Reynolds in 1983, Stroker Ace, and 2 years later she married the tabloid fixture, Burt Reynolds, but then they had a messy breakup in 1994. Their son, Quentin Reynolds, was the best decision that we ever made in our entire relationship, she said during an unveiling of a bronze bust at Reynolds' Hollywood grave in 2021. I think back to the beginning of our relationship, and it was so, oh gosh, tabloidy. We were just a spectacle all the time, and it was hard to have a relationship in that atmosphere. And somehow we did it through many ups and downs, she told the press. Anderson detailed their tumultuous marriage in the 1995 autobiography, My Life in High Heels, which she said was about the growth of a woman who survives. If you think you're going to write a book about yourself, you have to do it warts and all, she told the AP while promoting the book. You may not even tell the nicest things about yourself because, well, you're telling the truth. She was married 4 times, most recently to Bob Flick in 2008. She was born August 5th, 1945 in St. Paul, Minnesota. Her father was a chemist and her mother was a model. Her first role was a small part in the 1966 film Nevada Smith, starring Steve McQueen. Most of her career was spent on the small screen, with early guest parts in SWAT, Policewoman, of course, WKRP, Easy Street, and made-for-TV movies. 2023, she started Lifetime's Lady of the 80s, A Diva's Christmas with Linda Gray, Donna Mills, Morgan Fairchild, and Nicolette Sheridan. I'm heartbroken to hear the passing of the wonderful Lonnie Anderson, Fairchild wrote on X. The sweetest, most gracious lady. I'm just devastated to hear this. She was survived by Flick, her daughter, Deidre, and son-in-law Charlie Hoffman, son Quentin Anderson Reynolds, grandchildren Mackenzie and Megan Hoffman, stepson Adam Flick and wife Helene, step-grandchildren Felix and Maximilian. Private family service is planned at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Chris, Golden Globes. You know, this will probably sound bad, but when we were young, she did a Playboy, and all the young adults were scrambling to try and find a copy. Man, that was years ago. Whew. All right, well, this is some interesting national news, but it's also local here to me in Tennessee. Law enforcement's fined 14 IEDs, improvised explosive devices, in a home of a Tennessee man arrested for threatening to, quote, kill law enforcement and public officials. After taking the man into custody, the Polk County Sheriff's deputies and detectives noticed something was smoldering in the bedroom where he was found. Old Fort, Tennessee, officers found 14 improvised explosive devices while executing a search warrant for a man who had threatened to kill public officials and tried to detonate the devices as he was being arrested, Tennessee authorities said Saturday. Detectives and deputies went to the home about 45 miles east of Chattanooga, seeking to apprehend the 54-year-old suspect. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said in a statement, after taking him into custody, the officers noticed something was smoldering in the bedroom where he was found. the sheriff's office stated. They saw what appeared to be an improvised explosive device and evacuated the home. Subsequently, bomb squad officers and agents with the Federal Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms, ATF, found the 14 devices, according to the sheriff's office statement. The suspect was charged with 11 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 14 counts of prohibited weapons, 1 count of explosive components, according to the sheriff's office. He's being held at the Polk County Jail, which could not confirm whether he had a lawyer or if he could speak on his own behalf. He had active warrants for threatening to kill public officials and law enforcement personnel in the county. The public affairs director for the Chattanooga Police said via email, none of the devices were detonated. She did not comment on the suspect's threats against officials or whether he was arrested because they believed there was a, quote, imminent danger. Police and ATF referred all further inquiries to the sheriff's office, and then they said no one is available to answer your questions. If you look right there at that picture, you can see some of them are quite small. Don't know how strong or how powerful, but certainly could hurt somebody. So we should always be awake, because I guarantee you the media is not going to report on everything, because an IED was just used at a Target store in an attempted ATM robbery. They tried to use an IED to dislodge an ATM. Didn't work, and, well, they fled the scene. Now they're being hunted. So, but the media didn't really give a whole lot of information about that. You have to dig to find it. Cities don't like to give up information because it affects tourism and travel, property values. So cities and counties don't like to give up information because it's not good for them. So if you believe it, all these cities are just crime free and living in La La Land. So another story that came out, a body found burning in a refrigerator on the side of a Tennessee road. Well, TBI is now investigating. Overton County, Tennessee. A joint investigation is underway after a body is found Thursday in a burning refrigerator on the side of the road in Middle Tennessee. Officials with the Overton County Sheriff's Office say deputies responded to a report of a refrigerator on fire on the side of Sunk Cane Road in the early morning hours of Thursday. Upon arrival, deputies found a body in the burning refrigerators. Detectives and agents with the TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, responded to the scene, and the body has been sent to the medical examiner's office for autopsy and identification. The TBI collected the refrigerator and has taken it to its Nashville lab. Anyone with information is asked to call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation or the Overton County Sheriff's Office. That's not something you see every day. So, yes, anyone with information, please contact. And this comes to us from Breitbart. Another thing that we're not really getting told about is when ICE agents are coming under attack while in the course of doing their job. A U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency and other federal agents and officers attempt to enforce U.S. immigration law. They are increasingly coming under physical attack. Recent arrests related to the assaults may be a sign that the federal government has had enough of the rising trend of violent assaults on our federal immigration agents. On Friday, Gregory K. Bavino, Commander Operation at Large California and current chief of El Centro Border Patrol Sector, highlighted the service of an arrest warrant on a United States citizen accused of assaulting federal agents involved in enforcing immigration laws in Los Angeles. Posted on X that the Border Patrol's highly trained Special Operations Group swiftly arrested the suspect, who is alleged to have spit on agents as they attempted to conduct deportation operations in Los Angeles. And somebody wrote, it was a bad day to be wearing his anti-IC shirt, a t-shirt. U.S. citizens accused of assaulting a federal agent. A post of the video shows the suspect wearing an anti-ice t-shirt being arrested by agents at a business. The post wrote, the U.S. citizen is accused of assaulting federal law enforcement agents by spitting on him during the immigration's arrest under operations at large. Our agents swiftly served him with a warrant in L.A. California may coddle criminals, but we don't. If you assault a federal agent, you earn federal consequences. Remember, when talking to federal law enforcement officers, say it, don't spray it. In another recent arrest, the United States Attorney's Office in Oregon announced the arrest of a Portland man suspected of committing various offenses, including aggravated assault on a federal officer and damaging federal property during a violent protest at an ICE event in South Portland. There was also a recently one. Well, hold on, we'll finish the story. On Monday, 24-year-old Robert Jacob Hoops made his final appearance on the felony charges of aggravated federal assault on a federal officer with a dangerous weapon and depredation of federal property in an amount exceeding $1,000. According to the documents in the court, the information was that June 14th, he was present at a protest in ICE and allegedly seen photographed throwing large rocks at a building. He threw one of these rocks at an ICE officer, struck the officer in the head, causing a significant laceration over the officer's eye. Later that same day, they alleged that him and two other individuals were seen using an upended sign as a makeshift battering ram, which resulted in significant damage to a main entry door to the ICE building. He was identified through photos online the same day. Oregon's Attorney General's office has charged 23 defendants with offenses committed at ICE buildings, including assaulting federal officers, arson, possession of a destructive weapon, and depredation of government property. Meet Jacob Hops. He's an Antifa member. Well, all right. Interesting. And in another widely publicized assault case, ICE agents, two medical clinical workers, were arrested and charged with assaulting a federal agent in L.A., according to the U.S. Attorney General's office in Central California District. Jose de Jesus Ortega, 38, of Highland, and Danielle Nadia Davila of Corona, now face charges of assaulting federal officers and conspiracy to prevent by force and intimidation a federal officer from discharging his duties. And there was another story where I think it was in Denver. I just saw it as it was coming out. They apparently attacked and injured several agents, stole a child from the group that was there and left. So yeah, Chris says I should call them to let them know the body being on fire may have something to do with the reason the person was deceased. That's a pretty good idea. Let's see. Somebody, Jay Dead. Not sure if you're interested, but last night there was an unusual amount of activity at a military base near Conway, South Carolina. I don't want to give out the exact name of the location. They are still on high alert. Interesting. Was it from the air that they were being problem? And Grimace Shake, welcome. Christ is King. All right. Well, this is about a military area or a military soldier in Montana. Apparently, former U.S. soldier suspected of killing 4 in Montana remains at large. The former U.S. soldier suspected of killing 4 people at a Montana bar was still at large early Sunday and may be armed after escaping in a stolen vehicle containing clothes and camping gear. Authorities believe 45-year-old Michael Paul Brown, I know Mike Brown, killed 4 people on Friday morning at the Owl Bar in Anaconda, Montana, about 75 miles southeast of Missoula, in a valley hemmed in by mountains. Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen said in a news conference Sunday that he committed the shooting with a rifle that law enforcement believes was his personal weapons. The victims range from 59 to 74. were a female bartender and 3 male patrons. He had warned residents of the town, just over 9,000 people, that Brown, who lived next door to the bar, where he was a regular, could come back to the area. Police warned that. This is an unstable individual who walked in and murdered 4 people in cold blood for no reason whatsoever. So it was absolute concern for public safety, according to police officials. The 4 victims were identified Sunday as Danielle Edwin Belly, 59, Nancy Loretta Kelly, 64, David Allen Leach, 70, and Tony Wayne Palm, 74. All lived in Anaconda. Robert Wyatt let's try this again. Robert Wyatt said he was neighbors with Leach at a public housing complex for elderly people with disabilities. Everybody is nervous since Friday, Wyatt said. Leach was deaf and kept mostly to himself, Wyatt said, and he only recalls Leach having a family visit once almost a year ago, but was always happy to help his neighbors with chores like moving furniture. If you needed help, Dave would help. He was a good neighbor. Everybody in the town knows each other. Numerous public events were canceled over the weekend as the search entered its 3rd day, according to Facebook posts. Law enforcement scours the wild terrain and woods southwest of Anaconda have been closed to the public by the National Forestry System. David Jebrek said that a mass shooting in a place as small as Anaconda is baffling to many. He said that he regularly saw both the shooter and the victims over the course of 20 years that he has lived in Anaconda. We only have 9,000 people, so it's like, what the hell just happened? Everybody knows everybody. Jabik was headed to the Al Bar less than 30 minutes before the shooting happened at 10:15. On an impulse, he went to run an errand nearby. When he came back to the area, he saw the bar was surrounded by the police. If I had been there, I suppose I was supposed to be, you wouldn't be talking to me, he said. Close call is now keeping him up at night, but he said he still isn't afraid. What we know about the shooter, well, they don't know his whereabouts, but they said that this season he knows the woods where he hunted and camped while he was a kid, and that he is an active person in the outdoors. So they're closing the woods. This isn't just a drunk high man going wild. It's a sick man who doesn't know who he is sometimes and frequently doesn't know where he is either. Officials are appealing to the public for help. There's a $7,500 reward for any information. This is still Montana. Montanans know how to take care of themselves, but please, if you have any sightings, call 911. All right, well, there you go. And let's see. Jay said they were redirecting all traffic a couple miles from the entrances to the base and was told any and all personnel was told to remain on base. So all started around 1 a.m. Okay, I will look into that. I have not heard anything. Usually I get kind of a heads up from some media friends. I do know that last week there were several, I'm just going to call them packages. Apparently they were delivered to like the main gate and left by a courier that were deemed suspicious and shut down several bases. I know one in North Carolina and one in Texas for sure. I don't remember where the other one was. So they were looking to see what that was about. There was supposedly a courier would drop off a package at the main gate and drive off, and it looked suspicious. And so they go through the whole thing, shutting down the base and doing the bomb sweep or whatever they do. So I do know that occurred last week. Of course, we had the nut that threw a cell phone over the White House fence. I'll keep my eyes and ears open. So thank you. We try and keep a heads up on certain things. And as we know, President Trump moved us to definitely DEFCON 3, if not DEFCON 2, Friday night. Also didn't help the stock market by redeploying nuclear submarines to closer proximity of Russia. Now, we're going to read this article saying that they're already there because they Trump has confirmed that they're there. But one thing to consider, since the Cold War, they've probably been there. So I'm going to guess we're just doing a little saber rattling and posturing back and forth between the two countries. I don't know if it's a distraction or if we're just posturing, because I highly doubt either side will use a nuclear weapon. And so I don't think there's a real reason for concern. But as always, remain vigilant. President Trump has confirmed that American nuclear submarines have been positioned near Russian territory, following what he described as a provocative statement from Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president and current deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. According to The Hill, on August 4th, Trump told reporters on Sunday the submarines are already in the region where they should be. He provided no further details on their exact location or operational status. Do you really think he's going to? The announcement follows an earlier statement made by Trump via Truth Social that he had ordered the deployment of 2 nuclear-powered submarines as a precautionary measure in response to Russia's remarks. On Saturday, Trump reiterated that the submarines had already been moved closer to Russia. Now, let's just think about this. Do you think Russia moved theirs closer to the United States and just didn't say anything because their leader was military and he knows don't talk? So, the Russian leader had referenced the Soviet-era automatic nuclear strike systems known as, quote, dead hand, and made indirect threats towards the United States, prompting Trump to issue a warning and advise him to, quote, watch his words. Though Trump did not specify which submarines have been deployed, defense analysts suggest they are likely from the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines that serve as the core of the Navy's sea-based nuclear deterrent. These vessels are armed with Trident intercontinental ballistic missiles and maintain continuous patrol rotations to ensure second strike capability. The Ohio class is set to be gradually replaced by the next generation Columbia class submarines beginning in the early 2030s. Commenting on the situation, the head of the office of the president of Ukraine, Andriy Yermak, stated that peace through strength remains an effective strategy. So, as we know, Trump is tariffing them all, but yeah. So, like I said, I wouldn't see any reason to panic. I think right now it's just posturing. And so, but we will keep our eyes and ears open to always be prepared. So, all right, let's skim through some other things real quickly. A voluntary recall for over 64,000 pounds of butter has found to contain an undeclared allergen. The voluntary recall was initiated July 14th by food ingredient company Bunge North America, affecting 1,800 cases of NH European-style butter blend, which did not declare milk as an allergen on the label. So it is a recall because it has milk in it. The butter was sent to 12 distribution centers located throughout the U.S., as well as a single distribution center located in the Dominican Republic. Affected cases were packaged in white paperboard and contained 36 blocks. So the butter recall is the latest in a string of food and drink related issues in the U.S. So it makes you wonder, is it really milk in there? Because I mean, I'm not very bright, but I would think that milk's in butter. So, yes, Denise, thank you. I forgot to say that earlier. Everybody, please remember to hit that thumbs up button, because some of the things I say here, YouTube doesn't like, and they either demonetize the video or they push further down the algorithm so nobody sees it. So by hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing and commenting and chatting, it also helps push it through the algorithm. So please hit that button, subscribe, and join the chat. President Trump also raised tariffs on Canada because of fentanyl, he claims, being coming in through Canada. President Trump has raised tariffs on Canadian products importing while maintaining existing tariffs on Mexico and China, citing their failure to curb the trade in fentanyl and its component chemicals. He's also threatened higher tariffs on Mexican imports, but delayed enforcements, to allow for negotiations to take place. How serious is the fentanyl crisis in the United States? It's pretty serious. I've been on the streets as a paramedic. Fentanyl is a synthetic drug manufactured from a combination of chemicals U.S. regulators approved for its use in medical settings as a pain reliever in the 1960s, but has since become the main drug responsible for opioid overdoses deaths in the U.S. More than 48,000 Americans died in 2024 after taking drug mixtures containing fentanyl. The U.S. has long accused Chinese corporations of knowingly supplying the chemical components to gangs who trade in them. The White House has accused Canada and Mexico of failing to prevent criminal gangs from smuggling fentanyl into the U.S. It is frequently mixed with other illicit drugs, leading many users to believe that they're not consuming fentanyl. Good Lord. As little as 2 milligram dose of fentanyl, roughly the size of a pencil tip, can be fatal. Over the decade, the global fentanyl supply chain has expanded, making it harder for law enforcement and policymakers to control. China is the primary source of the precursor chemical used to produce it. President Trump has accused Canada, alongside Mexico, of allowing vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come into the U.S. According to data from the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, only about 0.8 of all seizures of fentanyl entering the U.S. so far this year were made at the Canadian border. Almost all is at the U.S.-Mexico border with Mexico. U.S. border at Mexico, yeah. But in January, Canada's Financial Intelligence Agency reported that organized criminal groups in Canada are increasingly involved in the production of fentanyl by importing chemicals used to make it in a lab from China. The trade in fentanyl takes place in both directions. In the first 10 months of 2024, Canadian Border Services reported receiving 10.8 pounds of fentanyl entering from the U.S., while the U.S. intercepted 32.1 pounds of fentanyl coming from Canada. In December, the country pledged $1.3 billion, I don't know what theirs is, their equivalent is, for combating fentanyl and enhancing border security. And in February, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the appointment of Kevin Brasso as the fentanyl czar. So we're still battling the fentanyl problem coming in on both sides of the border. So let's hope our agents can get that under control quickly. This was a headline that's trending, and it happened over the weekend. Pilots of United Air Flight 108 declared a mayday after experiencing an engine failure shortly after takeoff from the Washington Dulles International Airport on July 25th. The Munich-bound 787 carrying 219 passengers, 11 crew members, encountered the trouble as they ascended to 10,000 feet. The pilot says, "Mayday, mayday, mayday, failure engine, left engine, United 108." The pilots told air traffic controllers. So if you look at the flight aware and listen to the audio, this website here does a really good job of matching the two. The air traffic control instructed the pilots to make right turns, which were much easier for the aircraft to return them back to Dulles, but they had to maintain to 5,000 to 6,000 feet for about 10 minutes so that they could dump fuel over the mountains, and then they could come into Dulles safely. They completed a second loop after dumping the necessary fuel, and they landed the aircraft at Dulles shortly, more than 30 minutes after being in the air for only 30 minutes. All passengers and crew deplaned safely. So there you go. Interesting. They just dumped all the fuel. So good afternoon, Seoul, or good morning. Well, the Biden handlers are ready to unleash a trove of embarrassing Camilla stories in response to her book. Joe Biden's inner circle are reportedly preparing to spill all the beans on just how awful Camilla Harris was as a vice president, should her upcoming book put him in bad light. This is according to journalist Mark Halprin, who claims Biden loyalists have a store of embarrassing stories they're holding back that will make public should Harris negatively reference Biden's cognitive decline. It is now common knowledge in the Biden camp, particularly his wife, despise Harris for going along with the Democratic Party coup against Joe. In an appearance on the morning meeting show, Halpern stated, "I will tell you, and this has never been reported, barely at all, if the Biden people decide that Camilla Harris is coming after Joe, wait till you hear the stories about how much they tried to help her prepare to be vice president and be in a position to run." He claims that details will expose how much they decided not happening, that she's not up to this. If the Biden people feel threatened, you will hear stories about Camilla as vice president that will not make her look good, he urged. It's not like they're at war currently, but I'm telling you, if Joe feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way. Further assessment, and as Biden's inner circle pulled all of the stops in trying to help her do the job of vice president. They gave her every opportunity, and they found in some instances that she had some issues, he emphasized. Yes, he noticed. Harris announced the upcoming memoir this week with a severe, bizarre, cackling social media post and appearances, reminding the entire world just how much of a bullet we dodged. Meanwhile, one of Biden's top aides, Mike Donlin, has revealed that he made a whopping $4 million working for him in 2024 alone. According to Axios, he was slated to receive another $4 million if Biden was somehow to get reelected. Details came out in a closed-door testimony House Oversight Committee, which is investigating the cover-up of his mental decline. Is it any wonder they were so keen on hiding him from the media? Yes, battle of the dimwits. But here's an idea. We're Americans. How about you tell Americans so that we know the truth instead of just covering it up? You know, there's bad politicians all the way around, not just Republicans. They're Democrats, and they're everywhere. So, speaking of politicians, Trump is delighted to learn that Sydney Sweeney is a Republican. Now I love her ad. President Donald Trump prepared to return to Washington, D.C. from New Jersey on Sunday. He delightfully answered when asked about actress Sydney Sweeney's new ad campaign and her political affiliation. Mr. President, actress Sydney Sweeney came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that? A reporter asked him. She's a very hot actress right now. She's a registered Republican, he questioned. When the reporter confirmed it, he responded, "Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney?" "Yes. You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic." Left-wing website BuzzFeed reported that Sweeney was a Republican on Saturday after the leftist went berserk over her ad campaign for American Eagle jeans. One spot featured her in various, quote, seductive poses while saying she had good jeans with a J. And the double entree, I don't know what the hell that word is, with the word jeans. They crossed it out and replaced it with jeans with a G. Catalyst leftists label the ad as racist, noting that Sweeney is white, has blonde hair, and blue eyes. One of the ads, she states, genes with a G are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes with a J are blue. The Daily Wire reviewed records that show Sydney is a registered Republican in Florida. The middle name of Sweeney, the actress, is reportedly Bernice. Additionally, the date of registration is June of 2024. The same time that was reported, the actress purchased $13.5 million home in Summerland Key, Florida. Registration reviewed by the Daily Wire named Summerland Key as the city where she resides. American Eagle responded to the fur by issuing a simple statement. Sydney Sweeney has great genes with a J and is always about the genes with a J. Her genes, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone's wear their American Eagle jeans with confidence, their way. Great jeans with a J look good on everyone. We're still going through that, yes. And then apparently Jaguar is allowing their CEO, Adrian Mardell, to step down after his woke rebrand sparked massive social media firestorm. CEO is stepping down months after leading a controversial woke rebrand campaign for the auto company. Jaguar Land Rover CEO Adrian Mardell is set to retire after 3 decades of the luxury car company as serving as CEO for 3 years. The automaker announced on Thursday the British car turned heads last year with a release of its new ad, which featured a reimagined logo under the slogan "Copy Nothing." The ad featured androgynous models in brightly colored over-the-top outfits, including one man wearing a dress, along with other slogans such as "Create Exuberance, Live Vivid, Delete Ordinary, and Break Molds." The ad did not feature the car through its entire 30-second run. The video blew up on social media, drawing tens of thousands of comments and nearly 47 million views in 24 hours. Yeah, I remember the video. I was thinking, this is a car ad? There's no car in the ad. Shortly after the ad appeared, ex-users piled onto the company for releasing what they called a Bud Light 2.0 campaign by appearing to focus on wokeness and modernism over selling cars. That made me want to sell my Jaguar, and I don't even own a Jaguar, an activist said. Columnist John Gabriel wrote, This is so the wrong timing for this. I can understand that C-suite being conned into this in 2022, but you have completely misread the moment. Bud Light 2.0. So the ad features modeled, you can see here in the pictures, well, they just look weird. But it did not feature the car during the entire 30-second ad. Our brand relaunch for Jaguar is a bold and imaginative reinvention, and as expected, it has attracted attention and debate. As proud custodians at such a remarkable point in Jaguar's history, we have preserved iconic symbols while taking a dramatic leap forward. The brand reveal is only the first step in this exciting new era. We look to sharing more on Jaguar's transformation in the coming days and weeks. Soon after, Jaguar took the heat with the release of its new EV design that was called the Pink Batmobile. Yeah. Hello, KG, and welcome. You jumped in here right in time as we're talking about the Pink Batmobile. Who knew there was a Pink Batmobile? All right, so we're going to just hit this roughly because more video has come out about this. More people have been arrested. And we're talking about the Cincinnati incident. Wrong button. Because, well, I don't know what the heck button that was. This is just carrying on and on and on. So the brawl in Cincinnati around 3 a.m. Saturday, July 26th. It's gained national attention and has provoked safety concerns, racial divide, as it should, and political debate. Well, what have we learned? It started with a video of a fight going viral on social media showing a white man being punched by multiple black people and falling to the ground where then he is repeatedly kicked. A woman could also be seen in the video being punched and knocked to the ground. Police announced Saturday they had seen the video and were investigating the large fight that occurred on 4th Street. Several suspects were then reportedly identified in the brawl. On Sunday, July 27th, by Monday, July 28th, the video had gained national attention and several politicians voiced their opinions on the incident, including our vice president, who said the only way to destroy the street violence is to take the thugs who engage in that violence and throw their asses in prison. It seems to be common sense. Both Cincinnati mayoral candidates addressed the brawl and public safety as residents voiced major concerns amid a recent crime surge. On Tuesday, it was revealed that despite the large crowd and numerous people recording the incident on their phones, only one person called 911. For us to get only one person to call about this incident is unacceptable in the city, the police chief said. I think what happened is a frightening reflection of where we are as a society today. I agree with her on that. Downtown residents shared the crowds outside Brawl, the club, and said it had been reported numerous times before the brawl, and concerned residents had already met with city leaders. Jeff Ruby, CEO, released a statement on social media on behalf of Cincinnati's Downtown Restaurant Coalition, talking about the fight. She called the incident disturbing and used that moment to share thoughts on the violence downtown. Well, the FBI has begun to coordinate closely with Cincinnati on Wednesday to determine if any federal laws were violated as authorities continue to identify more individuals involved in the incident. Politicians continued to voice their views on the brawl, and, well, we know some of them were less than nice. And the city council mayor said the city council and mayor could come up with a plan in 30 days to enforce civil right protections and law and order. More cops. Multiple politicians made shocking comments. Cincinnati City Council member Victoria Parks wrote, "They begged for that beatdown." Ross Township trustee David Young wrote, "Cincinnati has a problem and has always had a problem with," this is his words, "black citizens." This is his words. This is a quote. "They're animals and won't change." That was his quote. He also used a racial slur in one of his social media posts and then refused to step down after his community held an emergency meeting for him to do so. On Friday, August 1st, Cincinnati mayor said and other city community leaders discussed the path forward with New Prospect Baptist Church pastor Damon Lynch. Do some homework on him if you want to dig up some dirt. Why they had to call for a preacher for a crime is, well, anyhow. The local bar, Love on 4th, located on the street where the brawl occurred, was under investigation by the city following a series of incidents that have prompted frequent police responses and liquor control violations. By the end of the first week since the brawl happened, a total of 6 individuals are facing charges relating to the incident before arrested, and new videos continue to be released showing different angles of the brawl. On August 3rd, 1 week and a day after the incident, the female victim, identified only as Holly, has spoke on camera for the first time. And I have a little piece here about her we'll cover real quickly, and we'll go from there. Except maybe we won't go from there. Where did my story go? I didn't want to read this. I wanted to read the story. There we go. All right. Don't know what happened there. Chris says the police chief wanted more 911 calls made because that guy's face was too much damage to the shoes of those innocent victims, citizens stomping on him. Yeah. The woman knocked unconscious in the viral video says she was waiting for an Uber when the fight began. She was knocked unconscious during the violent brawl on the 26th, and she stated in her first interview that she was lucky to be alive. Videos show part of the fight going viral on social media, raising concerns about safety in downtown. Holly, who has requested her name be withheld due to threats she has been receiving. She's the victim. Why is she being threatened? The Inquirer said she has been in and out of the hospital over the past 10 days, since she has suffered severe head trauma and a concussion. A social media clip from the fight at 4th and Elms Saturday show a man punching Holly to the ground, leaving her lying motionless until someone comes up and helps her back up. Like many of the tens of thousands who descend upon downtown Cincinnati at Friday night, Holly said she was looking forward to having a good time with her friends. I met those guys that night while celebrating my friend's birthday, Holly said, some of the men involved in the fight. We weren't out to get into a fight. We were waiting on our Uber outside, and that's when it all started. The specific timeline on how the fight begins remains unclear. Holly said she couldn't say much about it, saying police and lawyers have advised her to avoid talking about specifics while the incident is under investigation. The video shows that the fight involved several disputes in different locations, with several people trying to end them in one of the videos. A man who police say was a victim can be heard shouting racial slurs. Detectives say 2 of the 6 suspected individuals identified coordinated the attack together. Still, it has been in the aftermath of the fight, the social media blame game, and racial tension and political rhetoric that have been troubling for Hobby, outpouring of support and a wave of hate. She said that she has been brought to tears by all the love from all sides. They have given her hope after the violence. In a weekend, she has raised $280,000 for her in an online Give, Send, Go fundraiser launched by right-wing columnist Benny Johnson. Thousands of donors have raised money for her medical bills, legal fees to compensate her for loss of work after the fight. Donors include Ohio Republican candidate Vivek Ramaswamy and Senator Bernie Moreno. Let's show Holly that she's not forgotten and she's not alone, he wrote on Give, Send, Go. Let's show the world that Americans stand together. Johnson, who did not respond to the Inquirer's request for an interview, has criticized safety in downtown and the police response. Republican politicians locally and nationally, such as J.D. Vance, have also amplified Holly's story, using the fight to lash out at Cincinnati's official and policies. Ramaswamy is hosting a town hall on August 4th, which is today, to reflect on recent events. He has invited victims from the fight to participate. Holly would not confirm whether she would be speaking. I wouldn't if I was her. Holly pushed back about how the fight was being spun politically and framed through a racial lens, instead of calling for unity and seizing the opportunity to build off this movement for something good. Let's stop looking at people as black and white, Republicans and Democrats. Let's start looking at people as human beings. Agreed. The support for Holly has not been universal. Holly said she has received many threats to her life, and she is hiding outside of the city for her safety. She recounted people whispering, staring, and following her. She says the hateful comments online have left her on edge. Controversial Facebook post by city councilwoman wrote they deserve that beatdown. She's got possible deep, debilitating injuries from the fight. She's a single mother of a 5-year-old girl, and she is unsure whether the fight has left her with long-term injuries. The recovery so far has been difficult. There are good and bad days. Nonetheless, Holly said she holds no hard feeling against the people who hit her. I don't feel any anger or hatred towards what happened. They should serve time in jail, but I'm praying for them. I hope they learn to control their rage and change their lives. Let's just comment real quickly here. Even if a white person was stupid enough to say that in that crowd, it's a word. Did that word hurt you? Did that word stab you? Did it shoot you? Did it slice you? Did it bruise you? It's a word. Don't let one word control your anger. We're human beings. Stop that. I sound like an old man. Stop that. Get off my lawn. We sometimes talk about this, the silent watchers, how surveillance balloons are redefining intelligence in the sky. Surveillance balloons are making a comeback as a cost-effective, high-altitude solution for real-time intelligence and defense. From military spy missions to disaster monitoring, these silent sentinels offer unique advantages over satellites and drones, which also pose new security risks. Which country will lead this emerging race? Surveillance balloons have gained more popularity in recent years as countries seek to optimize their spending on national security without compromising the quality of their reconnaissance. Just last week, the United Kingdom announced that they had completed a series of trials on unskewered high-altitude surveillance balloons. The Ministry of Defense called these tests a significant advancement in long duration, cost effective intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities. This June report showed that the Israel Defense Force had previously started a top secret spy balloon program over Gaza. Its purpose was to fly over underground tunnel networks, map them, and collect information about Hamas command centers, weapon storage, and movements during, before, and after attacks. France, Italy, and Australia have also partnered with tech companies to use balloons. But in their case, it was to detect wildfires, monitor the climate, especially during extremely hot summers. Cyber News, which is who this article is from, spoke to Dr. David Stuckenberg, a former U.S. combat pilot who had held several roles as a Pentagon security advisor. According to him, using the balloons for surveillance and defense is now a trend and is prototypical. Their earliest use goes back to the Civil War, as observers post. The new trend, expanding the use of balloons to deliver strategic effects such as high-altitude electromagnetic pulse, directed energy, chemical, biological, and radiological or nuclear agents of terror, he said. Surveillance balloons are their loads, can be world-ending. So far, the important thing knows that using a balloon makes a lot of tech and financial sense, and that they can carry deadly weapons. And below you will see, we'll show some of the reasons that the countries are turning to it because, one, it's cost-effective. They provide real-time surveillance with a focus on a specific region because they can often get to greater than 100,000 feet. They can cover a wider area, provide high-definition images and videos in real time. And our country uses them quite oftenly, as we say. Balloons can function somewhere in between satellites and a plane. They can also guarantee an important middle layer for collecting intel. They guarantee better emergency response and civilian communications. Yes, they put up basically cell towers sometimes after disasters. And what kind of surveillance balloons, what can they carry and their potential harm? Well, they can carry anything from bombs, 150 kilograms, which is, what is it, 150 times 2.2, 150, 300. That's a pretty big bomb. They have delivery platforms for nearly any kind of weapon imaginable, said David Stuckenberger. During WW2, Japan floated balloons over the United States and caused civilian casualties, but today our tech is better. In the Second World War, Japan released around 9,000 Fugo balloon bombs that were intended to start forest fires, but failed. Interesting. We've had an outbreak of wildfires. However, they did manage to take 6 civilian lives. At the time, those balloons did not have onboard navigation or propulsion. Fast forward to the present, they are autonomous and can be powered by solar energy, be steerable, and thus enable themselves to station keep over targets or hover precisely above desired targets to damage or spy on facilities. Well, lofting a nuclear weapon in a balloon is not a stretch by any means, he warns. So now we gotta be worried about balloons. Great. Balloons can also act as decoys once they enter the country's aerospace. It may trigger early warning systems or distract defense networks. In the meantime, more covert tools operate elsewhere. Okay, all right. Interesting. They can fool us. Great. So we talked about that many times. We've talked about the balloons. All right, we hit the top of the hour and we haven't got caught up on all of our news yet. Scientists are warning as Stephen Hawking's alien doomsday prediction comes true. A warning made by Stephen Hawking on contacting alien life could be true. The scientists who help keep and redefine our understanding of the world made a chilling warning to humanity on what will happen when we make, quote, contact. Now, 7 years from his tragic death, his predictions could be about to be realized due to one scientist before he passed away. Stephen admitted that should human race manage to make contact with aliens, it could spell the end of life as we know it. He explained that actively looking for alien life could lead to a deadly invasion like how previous civilizations have been destroyed here on Earth between humans. Speaking on the possibility of alien life in 2004, Stevens said the extraterrestrials would probably be far in advance of the U.S. The history of advanced races, meaning our primitive people on this planet, is not very happy, and they were the same species. I think we should keep our heads low. While he did call for more relaxed searches for intelligent life, such as listening out for any bizarre alien radio signals, he warned against showing our presence to any and other life forms in the universe. This move, dubbed the intelligence trap, could mean that by actively looking for alien life, we could find societies far more advanced than ours, putting us in grave danger. Well, now his chilling warnings have been only strengthened after a Harvard astrophysicist suggested that a mysterious object currently hurtling itself to Earth could be a, quote, UFO. The scientist said that the overconfidence in our ability as an intelligent life form could lead to hostile encounters with any other alien species. Professor Avi Loeb and other scientists have been conducting several studies of the 31 Atlas probe that was found coming towards the planet at the end of June. Some astronomers remain perplexed by the mysterious object, believing it to be a comet passing through the solar system. But Professor Loeb admitted the object could in fact be artificially made and could be headed for Earth, as it appears to make its bizarre course of passing by Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. He admitted that because of the unusual path the object is taking, it would be a sign of alien life. He added that the reason for the alien to visit our solar system could be for one of two reasons: be friendly or be hostile. He explained that should the hypothesis turn out to be true, it could pose a severe and huge problem for humanity. A study written by the professor, according to the Daily Mail, wrote, "This could potentially be dire for humanity and would possibly require defensive measures to be undertaken, though these may prove futile. The mysterious flying object, will eventually pass by Earth within 223 million miles on December 17th and currently has a speed of 41 miles per second, equating to about 150,000 miles an hour. Debate continues to rage on as to whether humanity should contact alien life. While some astronomers say that there would be huge benefits from making contact, many argue against the idea, saying it would be a tactical mistake." So, yeah. 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 Is that just a fake news that they're making up? I don't know. Hurricane season now has a new contender, and it's swirling above the poles. Behold the space hurricane. Just like its terrestrial namesake, it spins in vast spirals, has a calm eye-like center, but instead of clouds and rain, these electromagnetic tempests are made of plasma-charged particles whipped into motion by Earth's magnetic field. New study revealed that space hurricanes can mimic the effect of a geomagnetic storm on Earth's magnetic field, scramble GPS, and when even space weather is calm. It examined satellites and ground data on the first known space hurricane, which was observed in 2014. It shows for the first time that this stealthy, swirling structure was an active electrodynamic storm capable of triggering real and potentially disruptive space weather. Space hurricanes form during very quiet conditions, according to a professor at the University of China. Solar activity has been at lows. 2014 was spotted by the U.S. Defense Meteorological Satellite Program. That's an agency nobody knew about, the U.S. Defense Meteorological Satellite Program. A large spiral pattern centered over the magnetic north with curved arms and a dark central eye glowed faintly with auroral light. But this was no ordinary aurora. Two satellites flew through the storm just minutes apart, passed through the center, and they clipped the edge. The data they collected painted a striking picture. This was an active swirling system in Earth's ionosphere, complete with fast-moving plasma flows, density shears, and upward electric currents, just like the hurricane's convection engine, but electromagnetic. Trying to understand what the silent storm was up to, the team turned to ground and satellite data from the Canadian High Arctic Ionospheric Network chain, another one you've never heard of, and that's where things got even more weird. GPS signals passing through the storm's outer region were affected by the phase sensation. It's kind of like a twinkling that occurs when plasma turbulence interferes with radio signals. One GPS satellite showed a particularly strong disturbance with one scintillion index of 0.81, enough to significantly degrade position accuracy. I have no idea what that is. The stealth storm no one saw coming. So if you want to know more about this, you can go over to space.com and check out their article. It's quite extensive. It's a good article. So, all right, Denise, this story is for you. An ancient 250-mile mystery blob is headed straight for New York City. This comes from MSN, so it must be credible news. A massive blob of hot rock underneath New England appears to be part of an ancient wave that's moving towards millions of Americans in New York. Scientists said this 250-mile blob, called the Northern Appalachian Anomaly, is roughly 125 miles underground, stretching across Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. A team from the University of the Southampton in UK and the Helmholtz Center for Geoscientists in Germany found it using seismic tomography. It's a method like performing a CT scan of the Earth. Unlike typical hotspots near volcanoes, this blob is far inland, hidden beneath the ancient Appalachian Mountains, and is still moving south towards New York and Jersey. Until now, these kinds of mysterious underground formations have only been seen near volcanoes or around the border of tectonic plates. However, New England is in either of these cases. Researchers concluded that it's part of the slow-moving, quote, mantle wave, a chain of sinking and rising rocks set in motion over 90 million years ago when North America split from Europe along the sea, which sits between Canada and Greenland. The anomaly solely creeps 12 miles every million years or so and suggests it will reach New York City in 15 million years. However, new studies did note that the immense moving blob is not alone. The older blobs could be part of an ongoing drip of heavy rock sinking like a glob of syrup in water under the U.S. So we have a blob moving. And they did just have an earthquake in New York City. So all kinds of interesting things. And we also have interesting things occur when there's a space event. Interesting. All right, Palm Beach Post. West Nile virus, a new case is found in Florida. Human case of West Nile was reported in Miami-Dade this week, according to the report from the Florida Department of Health. The same week, from the mosquito-borne diseases were reported in Colorado and Arizona. That makes 5 Floridian cases, all detected in asymptomatic human blood donors so far this year. West Nile has been found in 34 sentinel chickens and 1 horse, according to the Florida Department of Health data. It's not over yet. Historically, most cases of the West Nile can occur in August. It's typically spread through the bite of an infected mosquito, can cause mild to severe illness, and is the leading cause of mosquito-borne disease in the continental United States. There is no vaccine or medicines to treat West Nile, the CDC said, but only about 1 in 5 develop symptoms, and 1 in 150 people develop serious or fatal illnesses. It's rarely transmitted from person to person, though it can be transmitted through blood and organ transplantation. There have been at least 98 cases of West Nile reported in 23 states at the end of July, according to the CDC. More than 50 of them were neuroinvasive cases, meaning they affected the victim's nervous system that totally relies on healthcare providers. That does not include Floridian cases. So you can see here in Florida, you can see the counties, Metro-Dade at the bottom, up here towards Cocoa, St. John's, And then over here in Escambia County in Florida. And then I also have close a map of the United States. That Blob moves slower than Chris Christie. That's a good point. We can see here Texas has 9 cases, Louisiana 9, Mississippi 7, Alabama 3, Georgia 2, South Carolina 1, Virginia 1, Tennessee 3. Up here in New York has got 2, and it's still New York. All right. In Ohio, 1, Indiana 1, 3 in Illinois, 1 in Wisconsin. So you can see the states in blue. This is not a political map. In 6 to 8 or 9 to 25, and light green is 1 to 5. So if you see that in your state, probably a good idea to wear some kind of bug repellent when you go outside so you don't get bit, because it could be bad for you. This is just a human interest story I thought I would show you guys and gals. This police officer kind of goes above and beyond the call of duty. He loads the alligator into his police car. He didn't put him in handcuffs. He even goes to buckle him in. You got to be kidding me. That is great. It is great to see an animal story where somebody helps out an animal that normally would not get that kind of break. I don't know if you could hear the audio or not, but he was very kind and caring for the animal. So much respect to that law enforcement officer. So over the weekend, apparently this was trending. WWE went to extreme lengths for Brock Lesnar's secret return. A shocking return at the conclusion of SummerSlam was masterfully kept secret, according to a new report from Fightful. They went to extreme, elaborate lengths in order to hide the best incarnate and preserve the surprise for his attack on John Cena. The stunning return came after the main event Tuesday night. On Sunday, August 3rd. Cody Rhodes defeated John Cena in a brutal street fight to capture the undisputed WWE Championship. How did they manage to keep that a secret? Well, according to the reports, plan to hide Lesnar was a covert operation. It is believed that Lesnar was flown privately into Teterboro in New Jersey on Saturday, a smaller airport that would attract less attention. He was then hid throughout the day to avoid